What's up YouTube? Today I'll be showing you guys how to change your spark plugs in your 2006 Acura TSX. This car has a 2.4 liter VTEC 4-cylinder K2 gasoline engine. This video should be applicable for any first gen CL9 Acura TSX cars produced between 2004 and 2008, alongside with some of the Honda Odesseys and Accord with the same K2 engine. This DIY will be very straightforward work and an easy job. So let's dive right into it. Things you need for this project: brand new spark plugs, spark plug gap gauge tool, 10mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, deep 10mm socket, regular socket extension, and 5/8 magnetic spark plug socket extension. Let's check the owner's manual to see what spark plug we need for this project. Make sure to pick the right types of spark plug. In this case, it's iridium. Based on that information, I bought these NGK laser iridium spark plugs from AutoZone.com for about $13.50. Before you install any spark plug, you should measure the gap between central electrode and ground electrode. Typically, these plugs are pre-gapped from the factory, but just to be safe, use the spark plug gap gauge tool to check the gap, and also you can use this tool to increase or decrease the gap. For these spark plugs, we needed 0.04 inch. You can find this information under the hood or website like this. In this case, it's already pre-gapped. It's very crucial to have a perfect gap so that your car can ignite properly. You can also get this gap for like $2.99 in AutoZone. Let's begin the process. This is the top cover of the engine, which needs to be taken out. It is held by 4 10mm bolts. Use the regular size 10mm socket with either 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch drive to open it up. Slowly take out the cover to expose the ignition coil harness. Now there are 4 bolts that needs to be taken out before we can get to the coils and the spark plugs. Let's start with the first and the third bolt with 10mm socket with extension as is shown in the video. Now before going any further, you should always check at least one spark plug just to see if you really need to change them or not. In order to do that, first unplug the ignition wiring to take out the coil. Inspect the coil for any cracks or burn. Now use your 5/8 magnetic spark plug socket extension to unscrew the spark plug and take it out of the spark plug well to inspect. In this case, the spark plug looks just fine. It also have the proper gapping of 0.042, which is within tolerance. Comparing the new ones to the old ones, and it doesn't seem like the electrodes have been eroded away or have any visible crack. Also, the ground electrode does not have any source of deposit on them, which will prevent them from spark. Nothing seems bad, but these spark plugs been in this car for over 85,000 miles, so I will change them regardless. Now that we have decided to change all spark plug, let's take out the turquoise colored marked bolts, which needs 10mm deep socket to unbolt them. Unplug all the ignition wiring and install the new spark plug onto the first well. For the first well, we do not have to worry about the coil because it's already taken over. Now simply put the brand new spark plug into the 5/8 mag socket and put it inside the well and start turning clockwise, very slowly so you don't cross thread or damage the well. Let's move to the second well. Take out the second coil and remove the old spark plug and replace it with a brand new one, exactly how it's shown for the first one. Same goes for the third well, and for the fourth one, I couldn't take out the ignition wiring because the last owner zip tied the wire with the harness because the harness was broken. For the next video, I'll make sure to change all the ignition wiring and the ignition coils at the same time. I'm using a torque wrench to tighten up the spark plugs, which is completely optional in this case because it only requires 13.5 foot-pound of torque, which basically can be done just by hand tightening it. After all the spark plug have been tightened up, Put the coils back to the well. Make sure you hear a click. Also put the ignition wiring back and reinstall the coil harness. Place all the bolts back and reinstall the cover. Finally, the moment of truth. Start up your car to see if the engine is running or not. In our case, the engine is running perfectly fine and it sounds much better than before. I hope you guys learned something new today. These videos are for complete beginners like myself. And if you guys enjoy the video, please consider like and subscribing.